The reason why uh, we decided to get married is that we agreed and we shared the same goal for life. That was educating children. We were not too sure probably about the way it would pan out, but we had agreed on it anyway. So we knew that our house would be full of children. We had no idea how many, we didn't know how it would, but it was an agreement. And it's that way. When you start life, you don't have it all worked out, but you must have a general and clear goal, because our life is not about eating, drinking, and sleeping until we die. No, there is more to it. So, one of the things we did to educate children is that we started fostering children. Just with our wedding, then we started having one child in the house. And that one was Clifford's nephew, and he was of secondary school age. So that was our first recruit here. And he was just added to the house. And that fostering meant that the children that join your household are not yours. And that is something you have to remember. We didn't produce them. We don't own them. We have not adopted them. They are fostered. So they are not our own. They have parents. They have a family somewhere else. But at the same time, they share everything about your family. And it means bringing into the mix somebody that has a different culture. I'm talking here about family culture. Somebody that might not speak the same language. It has happened because we eventually fostered kids that were coming from different dialect areas. So they hardly understood each other, some of them, when they came. It's somebody also that may not share your faith. We were committed Christians, but some of the people that joined our household were not really Christians. They were like nominal Christians, some of them. Some were purely traditional. It means also bringing somebody that will share everything that you have and that you are. You will eat the same food. He or she will eat the same food, share all the resources of the house, play with the toys if it's a small person. Just the timetable, everything that is your family will be shared with that person. And usually, in our case, the parents, at least for many years, didn't contribute anything. They just took it that they gave the children to us to care for. And it was out of our own resources. And in Nigeria, it's not like the UK or other countries where you have a support from the state in terms of finance. Nobody helped us, and there was no paperwork, no agreement whatsoever, no covenant. It was just like a gentleman's agreement, friendly agreement with the families concerned, that yes, they are happy for the child to come to us. It was also mostly not our own decision in the first place. We didn't look for these children, except 2 or 3. We didn't look for them. They just came. The families brought them and said, could you take them? And in our case, these kids were, some of them primary school age, some others secondary school age. Some came to take the entrance to the university and spend 1 or more years with us. But they didn't come with conditions. And that was a blessing, obviously. The parents didn't say, well, I want my child to do this or not to do that. I want my child to eat this and not that, and so on. There was no condition. So they entrusted these children to us. Now the definition of fostering is, like I said, these children don't belong to you. So whatever you do for them, you propose to them, you have to remember that there is a family behind. And that has sometimes consequences. For example, we brought Christ to everybody that lived with us. And it meant, in a particular case, entering a tug of war with the family behind. Because the head of that family was somebody that was deep into traditional religion and that resented the children to have become Christians. And that brought some friction that got worse and worse. But at the same time, the person was okay with us having the children for his own interest. So the aim also of fostering in our case was not to remove these children from their family because the family was not up to it or whatever. The sole aim of the fostering was to educate these children, offer them an education that the family could not afford, or because where the family lived, the type of education they would have got, the schooling was below standard. They wanted a higher standard of schooling. They also wanted us to support the education of their children, and that was what we were doing. We bought the notebooks, we bought the books. I spent hours every September covering thousands or hundreds of notebooks and books. We bought everything by cartons of biros, cartons of notebooks, books according to the program, writing their names on the books, covering them with brown paper to protect them against dirt, preparing them for class. And then all through the year, there was a set time in our family for wide reading, where everybody was expected to read something out of their program, different. And then also there was homework, so where they had classroom work to do, and they all sat around the big round table that we got from the main library that wanted to get rid of it. For us it was a blessing, and they all sat around and then did their homework for the class of tomorrow. Another thing is the problem it brought. One of the difficulties that I discovered was, at the time we started, we had no children yet because it was just after the wedding. But as time went on, we had children of our own. Now, how do you treat your own children? These kids have no other home. Our home is their home. The toys are theirs in priority, by right. They have no place to go for holidays. They are just with you. These your own children. The others are there. They eat your food. They play with the toys. They do everything in the home. But normally during holidays, they just go back to their families. So they have an alternative family, an alternative set of toys and books and facilities. And it seems problematic, maybe unfair, to subject your own children and the others to the same rules and regulations. And you cannot even give a treat to your children, an extra banana, or is it? Because if you do, what about the others? At first, my idea was everybody should be treated the same. Then I found out that some parents were bringing some extra bits and pieces for their own children, some extra munching stuff. So what am I to do with our own children? And then, do you want to cuddle those that are small? Your own kids and the others the same. Whereas the others have two mothers, you and another one, but my own children had only me and my husband. Yeah. So this was really a delicate terrain to tread and had to find out what to do. It was difficult. One sure thing that was shared equally was the house chores: sweeping, washing the clothes, cooking. That was shared by all. There was nobody exempted except those that were considered as babies, like our last born, because when the time that at that time she was tiny, and she was not able to contribute much, so the others did more. The question was, how much can you contribute? The boys normally were deployed outside. They were cutting grass, washing the car, that kind of thing. The girls were cooking in priority, preparing and managing the food, peeling the yams and cocoyams, going to the market, you know. Everybody was equally employed to do the chores. Our own children had their share, and that was a very, very important thing. In our house, there was no maid and privileged children. It didn't exist. And it was a challenge actually for the neighborhood, because the neighborhood didn't understand what was going on in our household. First of all, we are too many for their understanding. And then when they saw others that were not our own children, they used to call them your maid. And we said, well, it's not our maid. But at the end, we got tired because we couldn't explain. It was too difficult for them to understand. So we decided whatever they say. So if you say your maid, I say, you know. And these people also shared every private moment of the family. There was very little place to hide into. No place. Except maybe the bedroom that our girls were sharing, where that one was a bit of a private space, but the others could enter it. My own private space was only the library and the bedroom. The rest of the house was like like a colony, a beehive, a marketplace, full of noise, laughter, talk. We also shared our faith with them, and we had the joy of bringing several of them to the Lord. And that was a joy. So anyway, if you foster want to encourage you, you're up to the challenge. Remember that without God, you will just get tired and say, I've enough of it. But with God, it all went well.